and welcome to Eye on Paulsboro. A unique show in this particular episode. We will not have community notes at the end. This is really to deliver important community information, not that every one of our shows doesn't do just that. But, you know, the long-awaited birth of the Paulsboro Port is really coming to fruition. Anyone's driven by it can see the new big buildings. It's all tied to the offshore wind industry, because Paulsboro Port is going to be host to a monopile facility operated by EEW Steel. They're based out of Germany, by the way. So they're beginning to think about how they're going to roster up for employment. It's going to require some specialized training, welding, coders, meaning painters, things of that nature. So between our schools, meaning the Gloucester County Institute of Technology, universities, training sessions are structured so people that are interested in being qualified for these jobs can take these courses. They're not expensive, and they can apply and they can be ready to go to work. Information session was held recently at the Paulsboro Volunteer Fire Association Firehouse. Well attended, 2 sessions, an afternoon session and an evening session. The reason we want to present it is because if you couldn't be there, you may have an interest, or a family member has an interest, this will tell you where you can go to maybe get training. Now, by the way, a lot of people are already skilled for this, but if you're not quite skilled, you can get skilled. So let's join in this session. It'll be self-explanatory. Prepare to take notes. A nice part with this kind of stuff, you can stop and start again. But if you have an interest, have a family member, have a neighbor that's interested in this kind of employment, this is how the door opens. So pay attention to it, and if you want to engage. This has been a long road to get this thing underway. It's coming. Enjoy the program.
Welcome, I'm Gary Stevenson, Mayor of Paulsboro. Thank you for being here today. It's an exciting time for us here in Paulsboro. Obviously, you're here because the port is open. They run a steel thing right there right now, which some steel comes in, but the biggest thing is the EEW facility, the monopiles, which we're going to go through all with you. Hopefully, in the end, that's going to create 500 plus jobs. Mostly probably what you're here for today, the welders and painters, but I'm sure there'll be a few others here and there. How that helps Paulsboro, obviously the tax base helps us greatly. More important is, it's been a study done for every job that is here in Paulsboro, it creates 5, 7 to 10 satellite jobs outside of that job that you hold. So we're doing a housing program here in Paulsboro where we've taken over 40 and we're working on another 40 houses. And we're hoping you find folks who don't have houses, who may live away from here. I worked at ExxonMobil refinery for almost 40 years. I lived in Paulsboro. There's nothing better than being an eighth of a mile away from where you work. And we're going to be starting a program to rehab those houses, build new houses. So hopefully you will buy those houses in our town, and you'll be so close to work you can either walk or ride a bicycle, which saves in today's gas prices a heck of a lot of money. So one of the things we are going to see how this program goes, and each expert here is going to tell you about it, but for those, we're trying to get a program for if we get enough people that need to get bused to this training. We have a bus here in Paulsboro, and I want to introduce my council president, John Giovanetti, in the back there. We're instituting maybe a program that we may be able to bus you to that training. That'll help you out because we want to make it easier for you fine folks to get jobs and make it easier to get that training. So whatever we can do to help, we're looking forward to doing that. So at this time, I'm sure you don't want to hear from the politician. You want to hear from the experts about training for your job. So,
good afternoon, everybody. My name is Harleen Oberoy. I'm the quality manager at EEW. About a month ago, Mayor Stevenson came to our facility and asked us if we could put something for the residents here. You guys see a couple of buildings going up. You guys want to know what's going on. So with the help of NJEDA and Mayor's request, we are here to show you who we are, what we are all about, and what we are going to manufacture. So who is EEW? We are submerged arc weld pipe specialists. This company is based out of Germany. It was founded in 1936, and our headquarters are in Enterbrook, Germany. They have 6 production facilities, and we are going to be the 7th one. There are over 2,000 employees in total for EEW. Pioneer of the offshore wind industry for almost 20 years. So I'm going to explain to you what a monopile is, but we are going to produce monopiles just down the street from you. And EEW till date has produced over 2,100 monopiles. 450 jacket foundations, which we are not going to do here, and greater than 50 offshore wind projects EEW has participated in. Pretty simple slide. So where are we located? We are located in Paulsboro, New Jersey. We are right on the port. We have an exclusive wharf right on the port that is exclusive to EEW. The waters, all the monopiles, sections of monopiles are going to come initially from Germany through water, and we're going to ship the finished monopile through water through the port. Because when you'll see throughout the presentation, these things are huge, and they cannot be transported by the road. So what is a monopile? A monopile is the foundation for offshore wind turbines that consists of one single pipe is driven into the seabed. So if you look at that picture, the whole brown section is what we are going to be manufacturing. It's just that brown section. And it looks pretty simple. It's pretty much steel, really thick steel that's bended, welded into one giant piece, right? So now let me talk a little bit about the scale. This is, a colleague of mine said to me the first time they saw a monopile, and if you pass through that area, you can see it from the road. It's almost breathtaking. It's that big. It's 40 feet in diameter. Our capacity is going to be 400 feet long. So it's longer than a football field. So that's what we're going to make. Each monopile weighs close to 500 million pounds. And yes, that's right. Oof, it's big. It's huge. And EWAOS, AOS stands for American Offshore Structures. And we are going to produce approximately 100 a year out of Paulsboro, New Jersey. Ports of Paulsboro, as you guys all know, we have 350,000 square feet of meter land leased already to us. It's heavy wharf, deep water, and I already touched on the exclusive wharf. And our location is almost optimum. Being in New Jersey, we will be able to do projects all up and down the East Coast. And we are the first monopile facility in the US. There's never been one before us, so we are going to be the first ones here. So now let's talk about scale. This was, the first time I looked at it, this was really interesting to me. So our monopile is almost, the monopile that's going to be produced in Paulsboro is the size of Statue of Liberty. It's a little bit actually taller than the Statue of Liberty. So just so you guys get the scale of it. The whole assembly with the wind turbine on top, it's bigger than the Eiffel Tower. So these things are huge. This construction is going to happen in 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1, we're going to have 2 buildings up and running. We call it the Circwell building. This is going to be the final assembly building of our monopile. And then the monopile is going to move to our coating operation. So thus, I know you guys are here, thus we need painters and welders. So those be our phase 1 operation. So this was what, before we started this project, this is what the rendering looked like, what the project was the buildings were gonna look like. And if you guys have passed by the road, this is what you see. This is the actual, this is, we call it the final assembly hall or the Circwell building. That door opening is 50 feet by 50 feet. It's huge. So that's going to be our max capacity of how big a monopile can be. This is an aerial view of the land. So because these monopiles are extremely heavy, a lot of land work needs to get done to make sure we can move the monopile safely in and out of the building. So this is to give you an idea of what's happening inside the building. Equipment installation is going in place, so we're going to have 2 monopiles in our finished hall at one time. So we're going to have 2 well towers on each side, total of 4 well towers in here. I don't know if you guys have passed through it or not. If you go from the road, if you go on Universal Road, you see this monopile sitting there already. This monopile arrived in May 2022. So all our testing of the welding, all our training is going to happen with this test monopile, and it's already here. So the next few pictures, you just see the scale, see the scales of the SPMTs, and I'll talk about a little bit about the SPMTs. And if a picture of a human is there, you can see the scale of it. So we have already started some training programs already. So we have hired a couple of submerged arc welders. Our initial submerged arc welders are welders who already have a lot of experience in this field. We are going to send them to Germany to make sure they're certified welders for this process. And when they are returned, they'll be like train the trainer. So the next series of submerged arc welders that we hire, because process is so big, the product is so big, we really need to do a lot of training, hands-on training ourselves. So we are going to do that training ourselves by the initial personnel that we'll be sending to Germany for training. This is our second building. This is going to be our coating building. So the monopile is going to move from the submerged arc, from our welding building to our coating buildings, where we're going to blast and paint this monopile. Not the full monopile is painted. The only area that's exposed to the water is painted. A lot of the monopile actually gets into the seabed. So this looks like our painting hall. Next thing is, how do we move these things? They're so heavy. You know, we are used to moving big things with big forklifts or big cranes. This is above all that. So we call them these SPMTs. On all the monopile movements will be done on the SPMTs. So these are, they move in every direction. So all the transportation will be done on the SPMTs within our facility, and everything will be done via ships right in and out of the port. Next slide. Okay, so this is a quick video. A lot of people were really interested in how the process moved inside the building. This has no sound because we don't have sound here, but I'm just going to walk you guys through the process. So this is just phase one. We are getting 3 sections from our sister plant in Germany. So you see these 3, they come in 3 sections. SPMTs are going to unload them and put it in our storage area. Then basically SPMTs are just moving it. Everything has to be specially constructed to hold these monopiles, those concretes and those slabs, and the land has to be reinforced on the bottom. So these monopiles are getting moved to what we call our circ weld building. So as you can see, the SPMT is taking it into our circ weld. And this is where the 2 circumferential welds will happen. So 2 towers on each side, so they will happen simultaneously. The monopile actually rotates on what we call LOTDs. So the monopile actually, the weld tower stays. Weld tower will move into position, as you see. The monopile will rotate, and the weld operation will complete. SPMTs will take it again, pick it up again, and move it back into storage. Once it's moved back into storage, we'll take it from storage to our coating operation, where blasting and coating operation will happen. Special marine coating is going on. We'll apply to it. It's approximately 3 layers of coating. So you see it getting moved to our coating building. So, as I told you, not the full monopile gets coated, only the area that's exposed to water gets coated. So now that's, I think, pretty much it. That now it moves back to our storage area. And then it will be shipped out. Our first project is right off the coast of Atlantic City. So the first 100 monopiles are going right, the wind farm is going right off the coast of Atlantic City. So now basically going to take it to the wharf, and it's going to be loaded onto the vessel, and there it goes. So that shows you our process in phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be slightly different. We are going to have total of, phase 1, as I told you, was total of 2 buildings, 1 circ weld and 1 painting and blasting operation. Phase 2 is consisting of total of 6 buildings. We're going to buy almost steel raw plate. In plate form, we're going to do all the bending ourselves, all the tack welding ourselves, and make the whole monopile. We call it can section. All will happen here. This phase 2 is projected to get completed end of 2024. So that's what our phase 2 layout looks like. So those 2 buildings you see already are there, and 4 will coming. These 4 buildings are what's going to be coming in phase 2. Roll bending, plate cutting and welding. Actually, we'll start with plate cutting and welding. We'll go into roll bending, into segment welding, and we're going to put a second coating building on. So phase 2. So early in the process, we realized quite early that we will need a lot of welders and painters to support our manufacturing operation. And submerged arc welding, there's a lot of welding class trainings. We saw a lot of the technical schools and trade schools had welding courses, but they did not have anything specific to submerged arc welding. So one of the local places to you is GCIT. So we started working with GCIT, I think close to about 6 to 8 months ago. We introduced a submerged arc welding course, and they have a post-secondary program specifically for adults who are interested in getting a job at our facility. You guys, many of you guys I see have already picked up GCIT booklets. There are 2 courses in there. If you're interested in if you have weld experience, you can take the submerged arc welding course right away. Christine Datz is here from GCIT. She's going to touch upon all the courses and the offering GCIT has. And if you do not have any welding experience and you want to become a welder, they do have 2 introductory welding courses prior that you will have to take those prior to what you can do for submerged arc welding. So do look at in your booklets. These courses are available to you. And if you're interested in painting, marine coatings to be specifics, there's going to be a coating 101. We are slightly... And the coating operation is going to start, I think, Christine, the dates start sometime in October, right? For coating classes. So these 2, so we realized quite early that we needed to provide the education. So we partner up with the local colleges. That's closest to you guys is GCIT, but if any of our Camden residents, soon there's going to be classes at both Camden Tech schools as well. It's going to be introduced into their curriculum, but nothing has been finalized, as well as Salem County. So I think we're going to hold the questions till the end. That concludes my presentation. Basically tells you who we are, what we are going to do down the street from you guys, and what we are going to make. Thank you, everyone. I think I'm going to hand it to Julia from NJEDA.
I'm Julia Cortry, Senior Project Officer at the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. I'll take next slide, please. So why are we here if we are not EEW or GCIT? We are the state agency responsible for promoting economic growth and development in the state and supporting a stronger and fairer economy in our state. We're incredibly proud to support efforts around offshore wind and training opportunities, so we can ensure that the work that we're doing to create a new industry and energy source for New Jersey results in great job opportunities for our communities. So we see offshore wind as a once-in-a-generation opportunity for New Jersey, help us transition to 100% clean energy by 2050. But with that, as I mentioned, it will help us transition, as part of that transition, create new job opportunities and high-quality job opportunities for our residents. So to kind of take a step back and kind of think about where does EEW and monopile fabrication fit in to offshore wind and the big picture. We see ourselves, New Jersey, as an emerging hub for offshore wind, with much of that opportunities surrounding in our ports and in these new fabrication and manufacturing facilities. So we have a strong political commitment from Governor Murphy to support offshore wind energy with 7,500 megawatts of procurement that powers over 3 million homes in the state by 2035. So as we're thinking about building monopiles and all of these other components, this is a multi-decade endeavor, and we'll be able to support not just these projects, but ideally efforts in other states to develop offshore wind. As I mentioned, ports and supply chain investments are a huge part of our strategy in the state to support localizing offshore wind. So as Harleen mentioned, their company is from Germany. Much of the industry is based in Europe, and they're looking to come to the United States and figure out where should they set up shop, how do they bring European fabrication to America. And we see investing in our ports as a critical part of that, and investing in the Port of Paulsboro. And finally, I can't mention enough, we see having a strong workforce and investments around our workforce critical to the success of all of our clean energy efforts. And this program with GCIT is a big part of that. So Harleen mentioned the monopile as what they'll be focusing on at the EEW facility. Just wanted to provide some context here as to the other parts of the wind turbines. While this part will be mostly underwater, it will support all of the other components. You can see the blades, the hub, the nacelle, where the generator, kind of the powerhouse of the wind turbine, hosts all of the technology that powers the turbine and creates electricity for our homes. And then, of course, the tower, which looks kind of similar to the monopile when painted, but is the above water part of the wind turbine. There are several different types of offshore wind turbines. These are the kinds we're making with monopile foundations based on our more shallow oceans off the coast of New Jersey. So New Jersey has 3 projects in the works so far, with all of them being located off the coast of Atlantic City. We did have a federal auction this past year, or this past winter, bringing in 5 new developers. So there's a lot of complexity. You'll hear lots of names around Ørsted, Atlantic Shores, who are the first 2 winners of our projects. And then there'll be new developers that will be entering the market. So really the emphasis here is that this is not 1 or 2 or 3 projects. This is, again, a multi-decade effort with multiple developers that are excited to bring offshore wind to New Jersey, and hopefully we'll be using monopiles from Paulsboro to develop their projects. I do want to also just pause here to clarify a couple of things. So we often hear about offshore wind turbines in the water. They won't be located off the Port of Paulsboro. They'll be shipped into the Atlantic Ocean. So all of the turbines are located in federal waters, so 10 plus miles out into the ocean. Won't be anywhere near Paulsboro, but Paulsboro is well located to be able to supply those materials, as Harleen was mentioning, that central location. So you can see here there are a number of other ports supporting the efforts of offshore wind in the state. We've identified these ports for their strategic value of large space, no overhead restrictions, or proximity to a current offshore wind project. there's always concern that, we have maybe too many ports or the ports will be competing with each other. I just want to clarify here that each of these ports plays a distinct and unique role. So you can see the Port of Paulsboro is close to the New Jersey Wind Port and Lower Always Creek in Salem County. We do get a lot of questions on what's the difference between these ports and why do we need both of them. As you know, Port of Paulsboro was invested in many years ago to support the offshore wind industry, and since then the industry has grown tremendously. And we realized we needed more space and even greater unique specifications for the industry. So the New Jersey Wind Port was designed to support marshaling and manufacturing of other components that don't have overhead restriction concerns. So most of the components are shipped out vertically just so that you can handle them as little as possible in the ocean. As you can imagine, these components being hundreds of feet tall, you don't want to kind of turn them as much as possible, whereas the monopiles float out horizontally. So as a result, we're able to do monopile manufacturing at Paulsboro and create other components like blades or towers or nacelles at the New Jersey Wind Port, as well as the marshaling, which is just kind of the final assembly of those, bringing all the components together to one place and then shipping them out. Paulsboro is really designed quite well for monopiles. We don't see in the future that the New Jersey Wind Port would have monopiles or any of the other manufacturing. This is really a unique and special site that supports this monopile steel fabrication. So I just wanted to clarify here that there are all of these ports, they all play their unique roles, and Paulsboro is incredibly well positioned to continue to support the industry for the decades to come around monopile and other foundation supporting materials. So the other hat that I wear at the New Jersey EDA, we are also in the process of standing up the Wind Institute for Innovation and Training. So this is a two-part, we have two major mandates, workforce development and innovation and research and development to unlock market potential. We're incredibly proud to support this program and subsequent efforts around workforce development and innovation in offshore wind. And we'll be standing up our institute in the coming months. So we're super excited to be involved informally and more in official capacity as the institute in the future. But wanted to highlight this effort that we've made at the state level to have a coordinating body to make sure that all of these efforts are done complementary in terms of workforce development in particular. So that's all from me today. Thank you all so much for your time, and I will pass it over to our GCIT team.
My name is Christine Datz. I am the Director of Student Services at the Gloucester County Institute of Technology. I am in charge of our regular traditional high school that runs, from September to June. We just had graduation on Tuesday. But I also run and help create all of our what are called post-secondary programs, which are the programs for adults that you can register for apprenticeship programs and other training such as electrical, HVAC, carpentry, culinary arts, all those kind of traditional trades, up and including welding and our automotive and collision programs. So as Harleen had said, they were looking for someone locally that was close to Paulsboro to help partner with EEW and the New Jersey EDA to help train people to build these windmills and all the wind energy. So it's kind of neat to think, people now go to college and get all these big expensive degrees, And think about the buildings at the colleges. Like, if we didn't have people like us to build those buildings, all those engineers wouldn't be able to do what they do. So it's really us that makes all this happen. All these people who learn how to weld and build and do electrical work. We do have two programs, as Harleen had said earlier, our coatings class and our sub-arc welding class. And I just want to clarify, it's really submerged arc welding, and a lot of people get confused. We took out the submerged part, and we just refer to it as sub-arc welding, because a lot of people confuse that with underwater welding. So no one has to know how to swim. You are going to be welding. The difference is when you weld traditionally, like TIG welding, MIG welding, those kind of things, you're in your gear. You have your helmet, you have all that. The submerged arc welders put out this stuff called flux, and the welding happens like almost under the flux. It looks like kitty litter that spits out of this giant machine, and it hides the weld so that you don't have all the gear and all that kind of stuff. So you're not in the water. I just want to clarify that for everybody. If everybody, as you walked in, you got a GCIT catalog. Some of you, if you live in the county or even in Camden County, this came in the mail. I don't know if any of you got it in the mail as well. Also with the catalogs is my business card, and I truly mean it when I say if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to email or call me. I do work at the high school, even though school's over for the summer. I do, unfortunately, work 12 months a year, so you can call me at school. The first class that I want to talk about is the submerged arc welding class. It runs for 5 weeks. It's only 2 days a week. We do have one session that runs this summer starting on July 12th. And that one class in the summer does run during the daytime from 9 to 12. Now, in order to take the submerged arc welding class, you do have to be a little bit of a seasoned welder. So you have to have some welding skills already. If you do not, don't lose hope, because as they have presented here, this is a decade-long process. So you have plenty of time to get training. We also just have basic Welding 1 and Welding 2 technicians to teach you how to weld. And conveniently, if you're taking Welding 1 or Welding 2 to learn how to be a welder, we might just throw some of that submerged arc stuff in there for you anyway. So you might not even have to take the separate submerged arc class. Because some people who are already trained welders don't know how to use the sub-arc welding machines. So there's a shorter training for that. There is tuition involved. We do provide you with some of the equipment. We will give you a helmet to use in class. We will give you welding jackets and gloves. You can't take them home, so you might have to, I'm not sure of EEW if they provide on the work site those kind of things, or if some job sites make you get them on your own. So that's something that Harleen can fill you in with later. But we do training. The classes are very small sizes. There's only about 5 to 7 people in a class.
So that's perfect.
Our instructor is fantastic. He's been at GCIT for about 25 years. We're never letting him leave. So that's the first part of Harleen showed you about the giant monopiles. Like, that's what you're going to learn on this sub-arc machine in our school. The second class is the coatings class, which was the second part of the process of the monopile. Is now we're going to teach you how to paint it. So there's special paint guns, sprayers, gears, gauges, things to measure the levels of paint coatings that go on the monopile in special paint booths. And believe it or not, that's actually taught out of our collision shop for automotive, where you would normally paint a car to do body work on it. So it's kind of connected with that. So our Coatings 101 class. Now, to do the coatings class, you really don't need to have a ton of prior experience with paint sprayers, paint guns, those kind of things, like you would the sub-arc welding class. So if everybody's aware where GCIT is located, over in Sewell on Tanyard Road, right next to the community college, some of the things, there is tuition involved in paying for the training for your classes. There are a few programs that if some of you need to have some kind of assistance with tuition payment, there is the American Job Center. which is also located on Tanyard Road. It's kind of more on the college campus, the community college campus at Rowan College of South Jersey. But if you qualify, if you go through the American Job Center, and if you qualify, you would possibly be able to get full tuition covered, partial tuition. Sometimes they may even provide transportation, such as a New Jersey Transit bus pass to take the bus to training. But that would be up to you to reach out to them. And again, if you need help with that, you can also contact me, and I would connect you with the right people to go to the job center. If you do go on the GCIT website, there is a spot for scholarships, and there are a lot for our students in high school who just graduated, but we also post for post-secondary training for people in the trades areas. So there are some scholarship opportunities through GCIT. So if you do go to the website, you might see that there's a little bit of money there to apply for, and if you're eligible, you could possibly get a scholarship for training money. And I guess that's really about all I have to say. And I'll stick around too for question and answers. Make sure you grab a catalog and my card if you have anything else. Thank you.
Folks, at this time, we're going to open it up for any questions for any of the experts here that can answer your questions. At this time, are there any questions that you have? And you know, we don't have the mic to go around, so we ask you kind of like just yell, and we'll repeat the question over the microphone here. So, any questions, sir?
I know you guys already started taking. Applications. Where would I go to start to fill one out?
To fill out an application for the EEW.
Yes.
At this point, anything we are hiring for will be posted on Indeed.com. So please look for the open jobs there, and stop by. Tell me what you're interested in, what your skill set is, and take my card and go from there.
If we go to one of these training courses, are we guaranteed to get a job with you after we complete these courses?
The question was, if they go to the training course, are they guaranteed to get a job with EEW?
We're going to need close to anywhere from 150 to 200 welders. We are going to need anywhere from close to 100 painters. So can I say there's a guarantee? No. Is there chances are very high? Absolutely. So imagine the amount of people we need. So.
When does we start painting and all that? When is that going to?
Painting is going to be slightly later, so that's going to be early 2023.
Okay.
Are there any opportunities for small minority-owned businesses with the windfall project that you have going on?
The question was, are there any opportunities for small minority-owned businesses with this windmill project?
Sure. Thank you. Great question. So we have a number of efforts to involve MWVBEs, minority, veteran-owned, women-owned businesses, and other XBEs. So through our Windport project, we are having several Meet the Prime events. There are set-aside goals to support MWVBEs in entering that part of the market, as well as we're thinking about the construction and building of the wind farms out in the ocean, the substations, all the ancillary services. I'm happy to talk more else. I can share some information. You can see it, I think, on the QR code from the pamphlet you received from EDA on offshore wind, but there are a number of ways to plug in, and happy to talk after the town hall for more details.
Sure, I don't have a hand up. I see it.
Will there be like preferences for people who actually live in the town?
And the question was, and this is always an important question, are there going to be preferences given to people who live in Paulsboro?
Tricky question, and answer is if you can get to work 5 minutes, sure, but the skill set has to be there if that fits the job requirements. So if the skill set is there and you're a Paulsboro resident, I say why not.
Mayor likes that answer. Sir.
When will this start? When will you all start hiring people?
And the question was, and we were repeating this for the camera, when will the hiring begin for the Windport project?
So some hiring has already started, but you have to be, right now we are not training, so people who are actually already trained, like we are looking for, I told you, submerged arc welders already, but they have many years of experience in the field already. We are looking for SPMT drivers who are, you know, their skill set and the licenses you need to have. Majority of the hiring will start early next year.
Are any other unions involved in this project?
And the question is, are what unions, if any, are involved with this?
Not my areas of expertise, so I'm going to defer all union questions for now, if that's okay.
Anything else from anyone? Well, we know you all got to get back to where you're going, so appreciate all of you being here. You're welcome to come up if you feel you want to ask some questions off to the side. If not, we ask you to be safe, and hopefully we all see you in Paulsboro working at the wind project. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.